Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And obviously, man, you can see I'm already laughing because I'm going to have a lot of fun with this episode today. So let's just get into it. Right here. So, I have to say, Ric Bucher is quickly turning into one of my most favorite sports analysts on TV. Right? He's been coming on FS1 a lot, let's say over the last 2-3 weeks now or so. Usually he was appearing on other shows like Speak for Yourself, but now he's been coming in on First Things First a lot. And I've been really happy with the job that he's been doing. Why? Because I feel like that show has been really dominated by one personality. There's been one prevalent voice on the show, which has been Nick Wright. And I feel like he's been sucking up all the air in the room and no one else really gets a chance to talk. Whenever other people try to have opposing views, he generally cuts them off. He starts making faces. He interrupts. Oh, I have to say this. I can't let this go. Blah, 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 blah. As of the last 2 weeks or so, Ric Bucher has been doing a great job roasting and toasting that dude on TV, man. And I've been loving it. I've been commending Chris. I don't know if Ric Bucher ever sees one of these videos, but if you ever do, please continue to do it because you're bringing balance to that show. Finally, it's something that a lot of our viewers in the comment section complain about. Like, I wish there was somebody on this show to push back on a lot of things that he's been saying. And now another person that has been doing that on the regular, it has been Ric Bucher. And you can tell whenever they bring Ric Bucher in for a segment, Nick Wright starts to feel uncomfortable. Usually when they bring him on, at the beginning of the segment, he usually starts saying, oh God, here we go. Here it comes, because he knows that Ric Bucher is going to push back on a lot of the things that he says. And I think that helps the show. I don't think it's good when you have one guy dominating a debate show and it's really his views that are really the ones being pushed out there. Whenever people try to talk, they have to kind of capitulate to him or triangulate their views to him. I like it when he gets some pushback, and that is exactly what happened earlier this week. And in this particular segment, we can't show you the video, but you guys can go out there and hunt it down. It just basically looked like this guy, Nick, was getting ready to come close to tears. So before we go too far, let's just get into the exchange here because I thought it was a golden exchange, and we're talking about how this, how if LeBron doesn't make the playoffs, how this affects his legacy, et cetera, those basic things. So take a listen to that, and we'll come back here and we'll give you guys our thoughts.
Jenna, thank you so much for allowing me to take part in this subject with Nick Wright within listening distance. I'm just tickled. Yes, obviously, yes, it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. First of all, everything involving LeBron James is a big deal. And if we're going to make as much about his successes as we have, then we have to make as big a deal about his failures. And this, without question, is a failure. I have not forgotten that the rational among us last summer, when they started putting this LAARP Lakers team together, had our doubts about the age and how the composition was going to work. And yet, what did we hear from LeBron James? Please keep that same energy. Please keep that same energy when we're just running rampant through the league. All right, LeBron, you get your wish. Nick, you get your wish. I'm keeping that same energy. You raised the expectations of what this team was capable of doing. It has not met, hasn't come close to meeting it. I don't want to hear about Anthony Davis being missing and that's why they're possibly, very likely going to miss the playoffs altogether. LeBron James, according to Nick Wright, remains one of the top 10 players in the league. At the very least, they should be getting into the play-in game. I'm lowering the bar from the playoffs. Just get into the play-in. So if they don't make it,
so that'll be enough.
Yes, that's a big deal.
So if they make the, I just want to make sure I'm clear. If they make the play-in but lose, you'll reserve the LeBron criticism. They just got to get to the 10 seed, get knocked out, and then LeBron's free of your criticism. He can be a top 10 guy again, or no? He's got to get to the playoffs.
Not LeBron, but you. You will be free of my criticism. LeBron will still get it. I will not subject you to it, Nick.
Listen, this is for the Lakers. It's the worst season in franchise history. But I think we all agree on that. It's worse than the Nash-Dwight year because they got swept in round one. For LeBron, listen, it's Wilds, and I know this is what this is all about for you. Like, this is a legacy dinger. There's no doubt about it. Like, we win the scoring title and miss the postseason. So what you're telling me is year 17 LeBron, I'm sorry, year 19 LeBron, pardon me, age 37, is, just peak Tracy McGrady or last year's Steph Curry. Speaking of keeping the same energy, I'm just curious, Rick, was Steph Curry top 10 player last year? Because I think I checked, actually. You had him on the All-NBA team, and I think he won the scoring title, and they didn't make the playoffs. But so that's allowed for Steph in his prime. It's okay. And no, don't tell me about injuries. Don't you dare tell me about Anthony Davis or Draymond Green or Klay Thompson. Don't tell me about injuries. Injuries aren't a thing. So you have to big legacy dinger. Year 19 LeBron did exactly what Steph did last year, but when Steph did it, he was first-team All-NBA. And came into this year as an MVP favorite. It's interesting. Almost like
They
two
made
guys
the
judged by
play-in.
totally
Did they
different
make the
standards.
play-in?
You know what? Yeah. Why?
First of all, I gotta say, man, Nick Wright was getting so angry. He was getting he doesn't get as angry with Wiles or Chris Broussard, but he usually does with Rick. Why? Because Rick goes directly at him. And I have to say, I really like Ric Bucher a lot because he says a lot of the things that I'm thinking. Now, during that exchange, when Nick Wright started to respond, and that's the reason why we put his response, a little bit of his response, in the clip so you guys can kind of hear both sides. He said something that I thought was very silly. He said, how is it possible that LeBron James cannot be a top 10 NBA player this season, but just last year, Stephen Curry, he led, I think he led his team, I think, to the 8th seed or whatever it is, or the 9th seed, and they ended up getting knocked, and he led them into the play-in. I think they were the 9th seed, and they ended up getting knocked out by the Lakers, who ultimately went into the playoffs as the 8th seed, who faced the Phoenix Suns. How is it possible that he can be considered one of the top 5 players in the NBA last season, but this year, LeBron can't even be in Ric Bucher's top 10? Now, here's a few things. Here's a few distinctions I want to make. A lot of people don't bring this up enough. Going into the playoffs, or going into the season last year, who was picking the Golden State Warriors to be the team to represent the Western Conference? Who was the one? Maybe some Stephen Curry fans or some Warrior fans. Nobody was picking that team to represent the West. This year, everyone, or most Vegas and all of these guys, were picking the Lakers to be one of the teams to represent the Western Conference. This is not a secret. This is what was leading into the season. And he brought up the point about keep that. Why do you think LeBron was saying keep that same energy? He was saying that because he felt as if people were doubting him and he was going to prove us wrong. That's why Ric Bucher brought up that point. If you look at the Golden State Warriors roster last season, go look at how many Hall of Famers were even on that roster last year available. You had Draymond Green, and that was it. Did Klay? Let me tell you how many games that Klay Thompson played last year. Klay Thompson played a grand total of 0 games last year for the Golden State Warriors. That is why they were struggling. Stephen Curry simply did not have enough talent to help him. This year on the Lakers, let me tell you the caliber of players and the names that the Lakers had on their roster going into this season. Let me just tell you, the Lakers this season, they actually had 4 top 75 players. LeBron was playing with 3. You have LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, Anthony Davis, and Carmelo. Those are 4 top 75 players. They had 5 Hall of Fame players if you include Dwight Howard on this Lakers roster this season. So please stop the nonsense. Stop the nonsense. And while we're on this, let me quickly say this. We may do a video about this in the future. Yesterday, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp are arguing back and forth how Shannon Sharp finds it to be disrespectful. And he was like, well, if Michael Jordan was the GOAT, why didn't he lead the Washington Wizards into the... I love how people do that. And I was so disappointed that Skip Bayless wasn't able to come up with this rebuttal. The simple reason that Michael Jordan, was not able to, make it into the playoffs the year he played, those 2 years with the Washington Wizards, minus the fact that he was 40 years old. Do you want me to give you guys a simple reason as to why he didn't make the playoffs? I'll tell you right now. The reason he didn't make the playoffs, let me tell you who Michael Jordan was playing with as his teammates, you dweebs. He was playing with Courtney Alexander, Kwame Brown, Hubert Davis, Richard Hamilton, Brendan Haywood, Popeyes Jones, Christian Laettner, Tyronn Lue, Bobby Simmons, Jahadi White, and Chris Whitney. Those were Michael Jordan's teammates. That is why Michael Jordan didn't make the playoffs. Who was LeBron playing with this season? Let me not even get into that video, so please. Y'all arguments be weak as hell. They be weak as hell. Let me get back to Ric Bucher. So, to me, I'm very happy that Ric Bucher was able to push back because I love it. I love it. That show needs balance, and I think that show gains more credibility when you have people pushing back on Nick Wright. Whenever he's dominating, I think the show does terribly. This is just my personal opinion. So, Ric Bucher, if you ever see this video, please keep it up. You're making a good amount of us out here happy. Please keep up the great work. You're doing a fantastic job. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you like the video, and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.